My mother's family has been on this continent for over 300 years. My father's family arrived on this continent nearly 400 years ago. Faced with oppression in Europe, they indulged their fight-or-flight instincts and risked everything they had for a chance to build their own life out of the reach of the ruling class. My family, those that survived the long months' journey across the sea, and the harsh winters that awaited them in the wilderness they set out to tame, were adventurers and pioneers. They settled the eastern seaboard and built the first communities in what would later become the United States. With their bare hands, they carved towns and cities out of the earth that still stand today. As life became easier, the softer men arrived, and a new establishment began to grow in these cities. My family grew uneasy with the influence these velvet-gloved aristocrats had, and chose once more to venture into the wilderness to escape. Again they traveled west, sometimes on foot, for hundreds of miles through dangerous uncharted lands that claimed the lives of many of them. When I was a boy, my grandfather shared with me the journal of his great-great-grandfather, who was one of these men, a pioneer that had led settlers across the North American continent. It was startling to read how frequently and easily he recorded the death of a family member, including his own children, lost to disease or the elements or some combination of the two. Death was the price of freedom for many of these ancestors of mine, and they paid it without hesitation. When I was young, I had the opportunity to visit the remains of a cabin that my great-great-grandfather had built with his own hands. The same harsh climate that had claimed the lives of 3 of his children had reduced the cabin to its foundation over the years, but I was still able to walk on the same dirt floor where my great-grandfather played as a child and look at the same forests and mountain ranges he saw every morning as he started his day in the land that his father had tamed. Land that my family has fought in war after war to defend. Land that they settled from coast to coast, east to west. And now here I stand, a descendant of these men, a man whose family predates this nation by over a century. I'm told that all of this means nothing, that we are just a nation of immigrants. I am told by the families and the descendants of families who came to this continent not to risk their lives and their wealth, but to collect the treasure and wealth that my family cultivated and provided. Families that rode gently down the river of my family's blood, that I am an immigrant, no different than they are. And to add insult to injury, no different than those who today violate the laws of my ancestors and the borders they fought and died to define, borders they hoped would protect their descendants. And as they seek to distort the history of my people, as they blame my family for slavery, a practice none of my ancestors participated in, and if they did, it was they who were the indentured servants, not the masters. As I see these carpetbaggers and these locusts come to harvest the fields my family plowed for centuries, I feel, because it has been bred in my bones, the need to once again venture out into the wilderness to escape the leeches. But there's nowhere to go. We can no longer flee to the west. We cannot act as our ancestors did by abandoning the cities we built to the parasites who have arrived, fleeing our communities and allowing them to feast upon the fruits of our labor while we search for new frontiers to tame and flee to preserve our freedom. We have been desperately looking for a solution to this growing feeling inside of us. The same feeling that drove our ancestors across the Atlantic and then across the continent. An anxiety that drives the wild animal within to risk self-harm, to escape imminent danger when the chances for survival begin to drop dangerously near zero. There is nowhere to go this time. And that anxiety you feel building up inside is the wild animal that drove your ancestors into the wilderness, slowly coming to the realization that it has become cornered. For Black Pill, I'm Devin Stack. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you share. You can also help out by picking up a copy of my new book, The Day of the Rope. The link is in the description. Or you can go to patreon.com/blackpilled and become a patron.
If you currently have money in the bank, a 401k, or even precious metals in an IRA, you may want to listen up. You're going to want to have a place where you have a guarantee on your funds. As we go into a lower interest rate environment, banks will be stressed out when the commercial real estate crisis happens. Right now, you can get a guarantee, yes, a guarantee on your principal, and get a 29% bonus. If you're younger than 65 years of age, we can utilize an insurance-based contract that has been around for over 100 years. And guess what? You get a guarantee on your funds. You get a guarantee on your principal. We want to help you find a guarantee on your funds that are actually outside of banking laws, outside of securities laws. Right now, as interest rates are getting lowered, we only have this special running to November 1st. Go to greenmoneysolutions.com, fill out your information, and let's just see if you qualify.
Several years ago, I went to see comedian Kamau Bell perform, and as a part of his act, he did something like a racial roll call to get the crowd warmed up. So he started out and he said, "Any black people in the house tonight?" There was claps and cheers. And he said, "If you're black in here tonight and you're proud, I want you to put your fist in the air and yell Black Power." And all the black people in attendance, with unison and with pride, they put their fists in the air and they yelled, "Black Power." And then he said, "What about Latinos? Any Latinos in the house?" And there was claps and cheers. And he said, "If you're Latino in here tonight and you're proud, put your fist in the air and yell, Latino Power." Same thing. All the Latinos in unison with pride, they put their fist in the air and yelled, Latino Power. And then Kamau said, "Any white people in the house tonight?" And there was a few claps, and he said, "If you're white in here tonight and you're proud, I want you to put your fist in the air and yell, White Power." And there was silence.
Be with us as we offer up a prayer for the end of white supremacy.
I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop.
We will come here, we have been coming here, and we will continue to come here in hundreds of millions until indeed Gaddafi said Europe will turn black.
The theory of the Great Replacement is about demographic change. It's about this idea that, I mean, they also use the language of white genocide, the language that that white populations are shrinking ethnically due to demographic change, and that through birth rate replacement, there will be a shrinking and ever shrinking population of whites.
Some more news. The results of the 2020 census just came out, and for the first time in American history, the number of white people went down.
You see in some of these groups, especially the extreme right wing, there's this conspiracy theory about the Great Replacement conspiracy, essentially, which says that there's this great plot to replace white people with immigrants from other parts of the world.
You know, the Great Replacement theory, which says that white people are being systematically replaced by brown and black people who are, you know, allegedly, according to this false conspiracy theory, being brought in.
I think one of the challenges that governments and communities across the world have to face right now is understanding that even if that's true, we have to find ways to frame demographic change in other ways.
Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America.
Replacement conspiracy theory.
Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock.
That Great Replacement conspiracy theory.
That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
I think that for so long, the dominant culture has been white culture, that honestly, I think it's good that there's other voices getting the chance to be the dominant culture.
Great Replacement conspiracy theory.
Part of this greater America that we see on the horizon and that is arriving daily is just simply waiting for old white guys like me to die off, and we're going to have a new America.
And you're okay saying that?
Oh, absolutely.
With a smile.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They put forth conspiracy theories with respect to white genocide and the Great Replacement.
This idea that this conspiracy theory really of white genocide, that there's going to be this great replacement, as it's called, of migrants from other countries replacing American citizens, and here in Europe as well.
Today I saw a thing that said a lot of men, white men, were committing suicide. And I almost thought, yeah, great.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
They have a shared fear in conspiracy theory, something called the white genocide or the Great Replacement, which says that Jews are the head of this cabal.
Ensure that we can get this kind of material before it comes on to the internet.
A conspiracy theory, that of the Great Replacement.
Our country is changing. It's a demographically changing nation. White people will no longer be the majority of the country.
The end of white Christian America.
Because the demographic change between 1980 and 2000 in California, going from about 2/3 white to majority people of color, is the demographic change the United States is going through between 2000 and 2050.
This false conspiracy theory.
There is a major demographic change going on in this country. Whites are projected to lose their majority in the next 30 years or so, by 2043, according to the Census Bureau.
Country where the demographics are changing, it's becoming less white.
Correct. It's changing. White men are set to become, or white people are set to become majority minority in the next decade or two, whatever it is. And so by necessity, that those power structures will change.
With this massive demographic change in this country, whites are on the verge of losing their majority status.
America has changed demographically. White political clout is not what it used to be.
Whites will not be the majority. I mean, it's an exciting transformation of the country. It's an exciting evolution and progress of our country in many different ways. Clearly, there's, among white supremacists, white nationalists, that is viewed as a horrific event.
This is not going to be the country of white people.
White British population has decreased by 600,000, while the minority population has increased by 1.2 million. So, yes, lads, we're winning.